Now, Higher Education Minister Dr. Blade Nzimande has dismissed allegations that he received kickbacks from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme service providers. The allegations are contained in audio recordings released by the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse, OUTA. Now, OUTA alleges that there were meetings between NSFAS chairperson Ernest Khosa and a representative of a NSFAS service provider, which also implicates Nzimande. Dr. Nzimande says that there is a nefarious campaign to oust him and the board of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme as well. Meanwhile, the Democratic Alliance says it will lay criminal charges against the minister. But for more on this, we are joined now by the Department of Higher Education and Training spokesperson, Mr. Veli Mbele. Mr. Mbele, thanks for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So, the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse has called for Dr. Nzimande's resignation or axing following those recordings which they have released on their website. And in it, they allege that this is a supplier and NSFAS board chairperson, Ernest Khosa, allegedly discussing rampant corruption in the higher education tender system. So tell us what the minister and, of course, the department's stance is on these recordings and what OUTA has alleged.
Thank you so much. And like you correctly said, the allegations point specifically to the minister and the chair of the NSFAS board, Mr. Khosa. And you know that the minister has gone on record in the media briefing that we have had yesterday, where the minister in detail explained, right, what is actually happening, but also including the fact that the minister clearly also indicated that that is absolutely untrue, and all that OUTA is suggesting, and other organizations is untrue and is without fact. And then what is in fact happening, right, is that this is part of a fight back campaign that is meant to frustrate the steps that the minister has taken, over a long period that relate to rooting out corruption and ensuring clean governance at NSFAS. You would recall that the NSFAS is currently in the process of terminating the contracts of suppliers who have been appointed irregularly, right? And this is as a result of what is referred to as the Workman's report. And the minister has been leading this process. And this was not the first of his interventions, by the way. Some of his interventions go as far back as 2010, right? And it is in that context that the minister sought to clarify yesterday to the nation, including the fact that even the allegations that there was money that the minister directed somehow to his political party, the South African Communist Party, were unfounded and part and parcel of this what you call fight back campaign. But the minister also indicated that he has absolutely no problem subjecting himself to whatever legal processes, but also subjecting himself to the ethical processes of his party, the South African Communist Party, and the ruling party, the African National Congress, so that he can go and account.
Mr. Mbele, a nefarious fight back by whom in this instance?
The people who have been adversely affected, right, by the interventions, amongst others, the fact that the contracts have been cancelled. And this is because there is an interesting, observation that we have made that at some stage, OUTA defended the very people that the minister has been acted against. And today, it seems in the manner in which OUTA has gone about what you call publishing this matter, right, or these issues, it seems to serve the interest of those people, because OUTA was not prevented from engaging either the leadership of NSFAS or the leadership of the department or the minister on its concerns. And it is also interesting that the manner in which OUTA has sought to communicate what it is doing seems to coincide with some of the positions of some of the political parties that have taken a position on this issue, because there is not a separation of issues if you look at how this thing has been communicated, right? That That there is a call for the minister to resign and to step down, it's something that has been in existence, and it is something that we as a department can do absolutely nothing about. It's a political issue. But as it relates to the factual substance of the allegations, right? And there seems to be where the problem is, because OUTA, in its own interviews, if you've listened to their spokesperson, refers to this as allegations. And the other distortion here is that there is nowhere in those recordings where the minister is recorded or the voice of the minister is present. It is other people, and in some of the conversations, they mention the minister. So the minister does not even appear in those recordings.
Yeah, this is true. In those recordings, though, they do mention something that you touched on, which is Workman's and that report. So talk about Workman's and how they come into the fray from the department's perspective.
So Workman comes in as a result of when the department was made aware of the alleged maladministration at NSFAS. The department, together with NSFAS, then decided to appoint Workman to then institute an investigation, which investigation then made a finding. One of the findings being that 4 of the service providers had been appointed irregularly. Part of the finding then also led to the suspension of the CEO at the time. And at this stage, where we are now, Sakina, the leadership of NSFAS is fully focused on implementing the recommendations of the Workman's report, right? And this is why we are of the view that this seems to be calculated to frustrate the implementation of those recommendations, because those recommendations essentially are designed to help the organization clean up and to make sure that things are done in accordance with the relevant prescripts.
As you say, Mr. Mbele, we wouldn't know at this point until there is further investigation whether that is or is not the ultimate goal. However, when it comes to Workman's, why did the department decide to take on to use Workman's for that work, and how was that process embarked on?
Well, remember, the department simply, supported NSFAS. It was actually the leadership of NSFAS that took that decision. And they have their own internal processes and, would know why it is they chose that specific service provider. And it would also have ethical problems if it were the department that would have recommended Workman's. We simply just supported as the department that as part of this thing, making sure that there's clean governance, the expertise of a service provider has to be has to be sourced. And in their wisdom, the leadership of NSFAS came to the conclusion that they must appoint Workman. So it's not the department that prescribed or suggested the service provider.
So have you and the minister and everyone in the department who need to respond in one or other way, have you listened to those recordings, Mr. Mbele?
Yes, we've listened. So the ones that came out, and this is why I was able to show that the overall impression, which is incorrect, is
that's not where I'm going, Mr. Mbele. I wanted to know if you listened to it, because I want to ask you about Workman's in terms of what is said in those recordings. There is a suggestion that Workman's be appointed because at some point, one of the people in that recording states that they have people or a person at Workman's who would, of course, be able to produce the desired outcome in said report.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yes, there is that suggestion.
So with that being said, do you not think that that is extremely dubious and also damaging? It's a rather damning thing to say, and for then the NSFAS board to appoint the very same Workman's. Does that not raise any questions for you?
No, it does. I mean, it does. And this is why in one of the things that we indicated in response is that we have actually, in response, intensified our cooperation with law enforcement agencies. And on Wednesday this week, the minister has requested for an urgent meeting with the NSFAS board, and some of the issues that we would be discussing, because we are going to review the response, is exactly some of the issues that you are suggesting, to look at all other things, including some of the things that came out of the recording. So on Wednesday, when the minister meets with the NSFAS board, those are some of the issues that we are going to be looking at. And of course, we do share the concern, of some of the suggestions that these recordings are making, because they also bring into question the efforts that the minister is leading to ensure that there's clean governance at NSFAS. So the point is well taken.
So as things stand right now, Mr. Mbele, is there rampant corruption at NSFAS?
Not rampant, right? Not rampant. We wouldn't go as far as saying rampant. And I've made the point previously that there is some maladministration that has been picked up insofar as the investigation is concerned. But we always want to also make the point that there should not be a suggestion that the organization NSFAS has collapsed or that there is a dysfunction at the organization. There is no dysfunction. The organization is working, but there are some concerns as it relates to maladministration that has been found, and those are the things that we are acting on. And we have accepted that there are areas that need serious attention at NSFAS as it relates to clean and ethical governance, so they do exist.
And at several areas at that, and it's impacting negatively on the students who rely on these funds from NSFAS. At this point, we haven't said anything about the actual beneficiaries. We're just talking about higher level issues that involve other people who have nothing to do with the student population who are dependent on these funds.
Certainly, we share that concern, and this is why one of the things that the minister stressed in the media briefing yesterday was that in dealing with these issues, of maladministration at NSFAS, etc., we have always sought to make sure that the students are not adversely affected, because to some extent it has affected the students. And in Wednesday's meeting, one of the things that the discussion would be looking at is to make sure that as part of alleviating and making sure that the students get what they are supposed to get in terms of the service, which is financial support, we should come out of the meeting with NSFAS with practical, realistic steps that should be taken, particularly to make sure that we don't have very volatile start to the academic year as a result of the issues of NSFAS. And that is really our primary focus, that we have as smooth as possible start to the 2024 academic year, NSFAS included.
As we conclude this conversation, Mr. Mbele, are the voices in that recording or those recordings, are they identifiable or are they known to the department?
Well, at this stage, as the department, the position is until we get credible experts to analyze the authenticity even of the recordings, we should not want to commit to whether or not the people or the names being mentioned there are the actual people that we know. So we are leaving that process to people who have got better expertise and could give a more credible opinion, because if it involves the names of people, we also don't want to attract unnecessary litigation and state when we don't have the expertise that it is indeed so-and-so and that is indeed so-and-so's voice. So we also want to protect the integrity of the people concerned so that we make sure that we follow due process with this allegation.
To say that, you require further authenticity, that's fine. With regard to names, I didn't mention any. I simply asked whether those voices are identifiable to you.
I mean, it amounts to the same thing.
No,
right?
It doesn't.
By implication. Yeah, it amounts to the same thing. I take the point, but our position is we don't want to make those suggestions because they feed into a number of the concerns that we have insofar as the perceptions are concerned. So we honestly did not want to go that far.
So as things stand right now, you've got the Democratic Alliance who are threatening legal action. You've got OUTA saying that the voice recordings will be shared with authorities. That will include, of course, the SIU, the Public Protector, SARS, Auditor General's Office. Final reaction, very briefly.
Yeah, so procedurally, until we obviously have to be contacted by those institutions that the political party you've mentioned has done and OUTA, and then we would have to respond accordingly. So they've said they will be reporting those to those authorities. We would then have to wait until we get contacted as a department by those institutions and respond accordingly.
All right. Thanks so much, Mr. Veli Mbele, Higher Education Minister, spokesperson, dismissing those allegations that Dr. Nzimande received kickbacks from NSFAS service providers.